Welcome in to After Nebrasketball. This is your postgame show. Nebraska 74, Creighton 63. I'm glad you're here. We're about to have a good time tonight breaking down whatever the hell just happened in Omaha because I don't quite understand it. And you know what? I don't care. Kaleb and Bigelow are going to explain it to me. Bigelow is out there in Omaha right now. I am glad to have you with us. Welcome to the I-80 Club. Let's freaking go. Nebraska wins by 11, and we're all disappointed they didn't win by 30 tonight. Like, that is it's a little heartbreak right now for Nebraska fans. Man, it's tough. It's tough. Like, I got a lot of sad Husker basketball fans joining me right now. They're like, what happened? Why did they not win by 30? And I'll tell you why. Didn't make free throws, didn't make layups, those sorts of things that held Nebraska back from actually putting up the points that they needed to. Welcome, Kaleb Henry. Hello.
Hello.
Happy Friday night.
Hello. You guys have been phenomenal to hang out with all evening. So big ups to you guys with the I-80 Club, you and Josh Peterson, for all of that fun. You're right, though. Let's start with this. Friggin' disappointed. Absolutely disappointed that this was not 25 plus. The offense just wasn't there. But the defense was, and Creighton kind of sucked. So, when you add those things into it, 42 threes. Did not think going into this game there would be a season high for a Nebraska opponent after UTRGV took 41 threes. Creighton said that's the recipe to be in the game to beat Nebraska and took 42 and only made 12 of them. How about that? And then you go through, and what you and I talked about this morning was, what does it look like for Nebraska to win? And I said, it's probably Kalkbrenner getting his. Nope. 4 points.
Oh my gosh.
4 points, all of them at the free
Unreal.
throw. Just the second time in his collegiate career he is held without a field goal. 0 field goals. 0 for 1. The one shot he is credited with taking was a 3. What? Guys, I know Nebraska played, game planned that really, really well. You saw Morgan in there getting in foul trouble. You saw Braxton Mia banging around. You saw Bearcat Buchtengel. You saw the doubles. You saw all of that come. But how do you not get Kalkbrenner a single bucket inside? Not one.
I don't know. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if Fred had some kind of voodoo devil magic going on or what. I can't believe how bad Creighton. I can't believe how bad they were. I would have never.
It was wire to wire. This is
100%. It wasn't just
Nebraska winning is we could have seen Nebraska winning, especially the way we had the brunch show this morning. That was not necessarily going to be a surprise. Even winning by 11, it's okay, things can happen, especially when you start making free throws. But for it to be the teams exchange threes, and then it's Nebraska the rest of the way. They stretch that lead almost to 20. But because they're not shooting well, it stays closer. You get back to single digits. At one point, there's an 11-2 Creighton run, but it's not like they're ever in it. They never get it to a single possession game the rest of the way. And Nebraska's able to, I wouldn't even say really hold on, because even when Creighton got those shots, it wasn't like they threatened. There wasn't a real threat down the stretch to go through that. That's the part that is surprising for me. After Nebraska got the lead, Creighton never threatened the entire game. It was all Nebraska. That's the part that is very surprising to me. And you look at this team, we've gone through. We'll do it again this next Friday. Looking at Nebraska basketball to get back to the NCAA tournament and our confidence ratings, team looks damn good in Omaha.
I'm worried my confidence rating will go down because Creighton's so bad.
Nebraska here. I've already decided for you because you've stated a 3.5. The win improves it by 2 points. The shooting moves it back 2 points, and you're still at a 3.5. We already know where you're going to be this Friday.
Like, man, Kaleb, the people are going to put the pregame show that we did, the brunch show today, in a museum. And here's why. Let me tell you why. What were the things we asked about Creighton when we start? Like, we talked ourselves during that show into Nebraska having a chance. Why did we do it? We said, okay,
yes.
Who does Creighton have outside of Kalkbrenner and Ashworth to be a scorer? Well, I mean, Pop Isaacs had 25. 5 for 12 from 3. He hit threes. But we also said, is Creighton a team that turns it over too much? 17 turnovers to Nebraska's 7 during the course of the game. Steals, Creighton had 4, Nebraska had 10.
Yep.
During the course of the game. Nebraska 3-point shooting, 25%, Kaleb. You were like Nebraska, for Nebraska to win, they've got to hit threes at a high rate. They didn't hit threes at a high rate.
Well, maybe I should have said they have to be within so much percentage of Creighton, because I didn't have Creighton shooting 28% and putting up 42 threes on the night. Like that was bonkers. We knew we said it this morning. Nebraska's defense was going to have to show up. What was it going to look like when Kalkbrenner got the ball? What was that defense going to look like? Were you going to have some one-on-ones? Or were you just going to throw Mia and Morgan and hope? Or were you going to get some of the scramble and then hope Creighton's not hitting some open threes?
What did they do, Kaleb? I don't even know what they did. Whatever it was, it worked. And I want you and Bigelow to explain it to me tonight.
So there were times that you got a one-on-one. You got into some one-on-one situations. But for the most part, you got the double and the scramble and the guys running around the perimeter trying to say, okay, I've got him. Now then you've got the next guy. And Creighton just wasn't hitting those shots. They just weren't. And there were times it was contested and you go, okay, that was a tough shot. There were a lot of times Creighton just missed open shots. They were just open and Creighton didn't make them. And that's the exact opposite of last year. Last year, Creighton couldn't miss and they were also open. So you got this year, the Nebraska's defense, forced the turnovers, got the steals, got a couple things in transition. But Creighton couldn't hit anything, and they were at home.
Yeah, I'm dumbfounded. You'll hear. I mean, you can hear it with the way that I'm looking at this, right? Other than Ashworth was 4 for 13, and I hope he's okay. Like, I don't know what happened.
Oh, right.
It looked like an ankle, but he reacted like it was an Achilles, so I'm not sure exactly.
The leg was funky.
McAndrew was 2 for 6. Kalkbrenner, Kaleb, Kalkbrenner 0 for 1. He shot. This is there's no. If you said, hey, what odds would you give Kalkbrenner to making no field goals and shooting 1 field goal? I would have said, I don't know, 1 in 800,000. You know, there's no chance. There is zero chance.
That's tough. And you look at, and if it would have just been, okay, Kalkbrenner has settled in this season and he's scoring 8 a game, but he's a defensive monster. No, he scored 49 in the first game. And he scored less than that in the subsequent games, but he was still averaging 25 points a game. He didn't make a basket. Didn't make a single basket.
He missed his.
Now you look at this, the way this win is going to look over the course of the year. And if you're a Nebrasketball fan, and of course, like no one's ever cheering for injuries or anything like that to opponents, but you hope Ashworth is fine and he comes back.
I hope that's just an ankle sprain, but the way he acted, I don't know.
Because I don't know what that team looks like going forward without.
This is what we asked on the pod. Who's their third guy? And it's Papa Isaacs, but is Papa Isaacs like a Creighton type guy, you know?
Yeah, is that enough for them going forward to be the same ceiling they thought they had? I don't think it is. Now, like he can go off, but Ashworth does a lot for you. Right. And for Nebraska, you handled all of that. Handled all of that really well. The thing that we had seen, and I'm going to be interested when Bigelow gets here, because he's been someone who's been down on Braxton Mia through the first few games. And I would agree, because he hasn't played a whole bunch of minutes, hasn't shown out a whole lot other than like the first bucket of the season. That dude showed up. Yeah, like he's one of the reasons that Kalkbrenner did not get a basket. He's one of the reasons that, Kalkbrenner ends up with double-digit rebounds, 5 of those on the offensive end.
Yeah.
But that was the strategy inside. Mia and Morgan, and you rotate in Berkay and Jawan. Like they went small. Like
Kaleb.
It worked. Hoiberg did this one really, really well.
You know who the star is tonight?
Yes.
100%, if I can turn it the right way. That is the star tonight. By far. Dude, he coached absolute freaking circles.
Yes.
Around McDermott tonight. Like completely. I still can't even. I wouldn't have ever. So many things that happened tonight, I wouldn't have even considered. And he schemed up, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's unbelievable. And the assistants, people are saying in the chat, in the Discord, like Losner, Adam Howard, for sure, right? Uh-huh. But that coaching staff, holy crap. Like they absolutely, they were huge. Oh, sweet. We got Bigelow here. All right.
Yeah, I'm interested because, like Bigelow, it's nice to see that there are still some people who stuck around for the end of the game in that building.
Yeah, that happened. Holy shit! Excuse my French.
No, it's okay. We're on the internet. You can do it. We got, by the way, Bigelow. Instead of 8 viewers, we have 173. So,
hello, friends. Wow, that's a nice change. But no, just got back up to the hockey press box from post game. Heard from Fred, Sejan, and Juan, and then McDermott, Kalkbrenner, and Pop Isaacs. And I am still trying to process what just happened because all week long the common refrain was, if Nebraska is going to have a chance, it is going to have to be an exact replica of the game in Omaha 2 years ago, and that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was, and then some. When I'm getting texts from assistant coaches at the D1 level saying Nebraska is putting on a defensive masterclass and that they would trade extremities on their bodies to have their own teams making the rotations Nebraska was making tonight, that speaks volumes about how evident it was that they stuck to their game plan. They executed it to perfection. And like I put on my social medias, the best defensive coordinator employed by the University of Nebraska Athletic Department is named Nate Lenzer, contrary to popular belief.
Ooh.
Wow. We got to work that in, don't we? Good Lord. All right. Anyway, but like, what in the world happened tonight, Bigelow? What, like, I mean, 0 for 1 in field goals for Kalkbrenner. What in the world happened tonight? I don't have an explanation. People come here to hear me talk about the game. I don't know how to explain it tonight. I have no idea how to explain it.
I mean, they denied the post so well, and whether it was the doubles or just getting in passing lanes, I mean, they Their intensity on the defensive end was from the jump. They came out, they threw the first punch. They never trailed. They threw the first punch. They set the tempo. I have an old Tim Milesism that I would use if I was a basketball coach, and it's the toughest team sets the rules. The most disciplined team wins the game. I talked about that when he came on my podcast this past summer. Nebraska was the tougher team, and they were the more disciplined team tonight. They did both. They set the rules from the jump. They won the game. Everything that Fred Hoiberg talked about in the post game was how his team responded, how they bounced back after the way that, that St. Mary's game ended in Sioux Falls. And he gave a lot of credit to Juwan Gary, who stuffed the stat sheet tonight. I believe him and Williams finish with 16 points apiece, the two 60-year guys who have talked all offseason about the legacy that they want to leave, how they want to be remembered as Nebraska basketball players. They come into Omaha and they do what they did tonight. And Juwan Gary joins a pretty rare club of Nebraska basketball players who have won in this building twice, because he is the only remaining. Sam Hoiberg was on the team too, but he's the most prominent holdover from the team 2 years ago that came here and won. And now he's got 2 wins against Creighton in Omaha under his belt. And, Fred Hoiberg talked a lot about Juwan, asserting himself. I mean, he's already a leader, but he talked about the leadership role that he took this past week, him and Bryce. And then he, just follows it up tonight with, I've got the actual stats this time with 16 points, 7 boards, an assist, and 2 steals.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, he was all over the place. He was all over the floor, and he had a pretty hard to miss grin on his face sitting in front of the press after the game tonight.
Well, Bigelow,
go ahead.
Josh in the Discord asks and says, honest question, is Juwan Gary more important to Fred's program than Casey?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. He's the longest. He's the longest tenured Husker not named Sam Hoiberg on this roster. He was a part of the Griesel team. He was a part of the team to make the NCAA tournament. He's won against Creighton in Omaha twice. He is the living embodiment of this new Fred Hoiberg, this defense first junkyard mentality, where we're gonna bully you. We want to bully you. We want to have you in hell. He is the living embodiment of that. And, he talked all offseason about the legacy he wanted to leave, how he wanted to be remembered in this program. And he's been a part of 3 of the most memorable, well, this season's not over yet, but he's been part of 2 of the most memorable Nebraska basketball teams since I've been alive. And now he's been a part of 2 of the most memorable Nebraska basketball wins since I've been alive, both in this building. So he makes a pretty good case for his importance, to Fred Hoiberg's program, for how Fred Hoiberg wants his teams to play. And, it helps that he's a good interview and he's a good quote too. He's a likable dude. So,
yeah, but man, the way he was the high point man tonight, or tied for the high point man, but it's unbelievable how he contributes throughout, right? What did he end up with? You said it, 16 points, 7 rebounds.
Yeah.
But just ended up with 2 steals too. Kaleb, remember we were talking about on the podcast this morning, we looked at Creighton's steal numbers, their turnover numbers, and that turned out to really be, I don't know, I think significant in this game.
Well, we were saying when we got to that, it was a little late in the pod if anyone goes back and listens to it. But when we got to the turnover numbers, we were like, that doesn't feel right. That they're turning the ball over so much, and you look at Nebraska and you're like, okay, well, Nebraska's had turnover issues. It shouldn't be that close. And then looking at Creighton and saying their opponents are stealing the ball from them about 10 times a game. And what does Nebraska end up with tonight? 10 steals. 2 of those being Juwan Gary.
Yep.
But then 2 for Berke, 2 for Raleigh. You also got a steal from Bryce, from Braxton Mia,
right,
from Aaron Eulis, and Andrew Morgan. So you go all the way through that. First of all, you got 3 steals from your bigs, which to Jacob's point, they were fronting and like they were trying to take away anything that you could in the post, and that worked out really well. And then you go get the points off of those turnovers. 22 points off of turnovers.
It's crazy, man.
It's just it's one of those things that from Hoiberg to the assistants, they game planned it, and then the players went out and they did it. They went out and they did exactly what they had to do. And it was like you saw some of the runs for Creighton, and you started to like for us, it was is it going to happen? Is it? Are we in the OMG now? It's in. Here we go again. Maybe if they start hitting some stuff, and then it was just never a threat. Like there was never really a need for any of us to be that anxious through the second half, even just like the little bit where it was the glimpse of, could it really go now? It wasn't. And it was because of the way Nebraska played defense. And it was exactly like you and I talked about this morning, Jack, with the turnovers. And Creighton was still turning it over late into the second half when they needed to be hitting shots and at least getting shot attempts to give themselves a chance. They weren't.
Like we were looking at the numbers today during the show, and throughout the show, I had kind of a metamorphosis, and I was like, okay, I don't know if they've got a third or fourth guy to listen. I was saying to Kaleb over and over again, I was like, man, I don't know, losing Alexander, right, and losing Shireman, I just wonder about their offense, number one. I wonder about how often they turn it over. I wonder about how often they create turnovers, like turnover margin with this team, and then rebound margin with it. And like in some ways, that's kind of what the difference was. Like I don't want to say we were like foreshadowing what happened, but we kind of were in some ways. Jake, what did Nebraska do just like best tonight? What were you most impressed with from Nebraska, either a player or a kind of a part of the game that you were most impressed with what they did tonight?
I mean, it's hard to not just wax poetic about the defense, but I mean, I'll say this. I mean, I talked about this with John Walker from the World Herald on my preview pod that came out today. Something that stuck with me, like thinking about last year's game and then this year's game, was after, Creighton wins by 30 in Lincoln last year, Greg McDermott says something to the extent of, the guys who took threes, we were fine with them taking threes. And looking at this Creighton group with, they take 42 threes tonight. That is the third year in a row. That is a new Creighton school record, by the way. The previous record was 40 attempts set in each of the last two.
Wait,
Nebraska
seriously?
games. Yes.
They hit the school record for 3-point attempts?
Yeah, not attempts made, just general attempts.
Oh my God, that is
awesome. So like one of the most 3-point and shooting ass schools you've ever seen, too.
And this is a trend against Nebraska the last 3 years. 2 years ago, they hit 40 and lost by 10 at home. Last year, I forget what the exact number was, but it was I think they hit 40 attempts in back-to-back games, and they won by 30 in Lincoln last year. And now they go 12 for 42 tonight and lose by 11 at home. If you want to talk about living by the three and dying by the three, they take 42 attempts. 13 of those are Ashworth, who came in shooting 44%. 44%. That's pretty damn good. And he goes 4 for 13.
Which is still not bad.
I mean, 16 points on 13 shots that's not efficient. But then you get 12 3-point attempts from Pop Isaacs, who's less than 30% from three in his career. He's a chucker. He is going to frustrate the hell out of Creighton fans, not just tonight, but for the rest of the season because of how he plays. He takes 12 threes. Jemiah Neal, who's also below 30% for his career, takes 4. He's 1 for 4. So those are the guys that you're okay with getting those attempts. Obviously, Ashworth with 13, that could have been a disaster. Shireman took 19 last year, and he led the way for him. But just if you want to talk about numbers, that's 3 years in a row in this series where Creighton has wound up in the neighborhood of 40 3-point attempts, 2 double-digit losses, and a 30-point win.
It's crazy. And it gets to what Kaleb and I were talking about. We were like, who are the other options after Kalkbrenner, right? Ashworth, we knew Ashworth could or would hit threes, but who's number 3? Pop Isaac says, as you said, 5 for 12 tonight, but he's not. Jacob, I don't know what happens with his team going forward, and especially if Ashworth is out. Holy cow.
Yeah, and McDermott said after the game that he doesn't know how long Steven's going to be out, but he said he thinks it's going to be a while. He said he just, the only phrase he said was he torqued it pretty good. I'm assuming that is in reference to his ankle, because if you
hope it was an ankle, not an Achilles, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Because if you watch the clip, his ankle goes a way that your ankle is not supposed to go. So if you go back and watch that clip, but I mean, that's a big loss over any amount of time. And they're going to Las Vegas next week for this mega NIL tournament where they're playing, I believe it's Texas A&M and San Diego State, and they don't know who they're playing third yet. So they go from playing, some bye games to this game tonight, and now they're going to, well, I mean, and this is a Nebraska basketball show, but I mean, just if your team is a top 15 team in the country and you lose that game, here's their next run. San Diego State in Vegas, number 23 Texas A&M in Vegas, an opponent to be named later in Vegas, Kansas in this building on December 4th, the number 1 team in the country, UNLV, and then a road trip to Tuscaloosa before they start Big East play.
Well, the good news is no one will play as good of defense as they saw tonight, so that's good.
Jack, we have to. So DPM brings this up in the Discord. There is something especially the way you said it, we were wrong about this morning, and that was that Creighton doesn't get called for fouls. and what did Nebraska do? And I know we've said that it's boring. It's the decaf coffee of success. If Husker fans want to get excited for the team, they shot 30 free throws, Jack.
Yeah,
they got to the line and shot 30 friggin' free throws.
Bryce was 8 for 8, by the way.
I believe the stat I saw was that it had been more than 30 games since Kalkbrenner had more than 3 fouls.
And he ended up with 4. Amazingly, still did not foul out. Had 4, but at this point, he was kind of an offensive liability, so you probably wanted him in, but
Nebraska fans wanted Kalkbrenner to play more.
It was just obviously he was a black hole offensively. Wow. I can't believe I can do this. Talk this crap. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable that this happened. And you guys, first half, there were multiple times where I said, I'm a little worried because it feels like, Nebraska's up by 12 and it feels like they should be up by 30. I don't even know how much of an exaggeration that is.
No, it's not an exaggeration. And Jacob, like you were there. Nebraska ends up shooting. Let me go back to theirs back to Nebraska's. It's 42%, serviceable, not great, but not near as bad as it can be, and 25% from 3. If Nebraska's hitting more of those threes, they probably shoot more of them, and the difference starts to really grow. It is like, Jacob, is that what you saw? Like this game, it never really got in the danger zone, but it also could have been 25 plus, or it probably should have been 25 plus.
Yeah, I mean, this game just felt so similar to that game 2 years ago. I mean, because that game, the Creighton run never came. The Creighton avalanche never came. They got to within single digits a couple times, but I mean, Nebraska still won that game by 10. And then tonight, I mean, the avalanche never came. Their best sequence was that 6-0 run where Isaacs hit a 3, Ashworth hit a 3 in like 20 seconds, and they cut it down to single digits. I mean, the way Nebraska was getting back on defense. I mean, and it's not even just the scramble drill, the rotations, or any of that. I mean, the way they limited Creighton in transition. I mean, it was wildly impressive. I mean, they set the tone. I mean, they set the tone from the jump, and They were. I mean, I still. I mean, it's 10:07. Who the hell knows when I'm going to walk out of this building? But I'm still trying to process like how they executed all of that so well from start to finish. I mean, the first 6 minutes of the second half, their offense was stuck in the mud, but they never like lost the lead. They never Creighton never got to within a possession. I mean, the closest there came to being energy in this building was when they cut it from double digits to single digits, and that happened a couple times, but they never got closer.
And Jacob, I felt like I never saw the traditional double up on Kalkbrenner and then scramble all over the place till Creighton gets an open three. I don't know what Fred did differently, and you talked about it a little at the outset, but like I don't know. It didn't look the same in that part of it from the last 2 years. The way that Nebraska defended Creighton, I think it just looked. I just think it looked crisper. It didn't look as hectic. Maybe that's it. I mean, McDermott said as much after the game. There's risks in how they defend. There's risks in how they do it. But if you shoot like they shot tonight, that's a result that you can end up with. And I think it was just. I mean, when I think of this defense and the way it's impacted games these last couple years, I mean, these two Creighton games come to mind. I mean, the Purdue game last year comes to mind too. I mean, they've turned up the intensity on that end and in their scheme and how they did the no middle, deny the post, scramble out. I mean, that was one of my biggest questions coming into the year was, do they throw a curveball on the defense with their personnel? The answer is no so far. Yeah. And it's you can't argue with the results much to this point. Somebody said on the chat, and this was right. Like they couldn't, Big Red Roscoe says this, they couldn't get it into Kalk, so he couldn't kick it out. They never, in a lot of cases, they never got it to him, which is why he had one field goal.
The Blue Jays.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think he went the first 8 minutes without a paint touch. I think that was what I saw in the first 8 minutes of the game. He didn't touch the ball in the paint.
It's I don't even know how to talk about this game because there's so many things I never would have even considered that might happen. Like, I don't know what to do with this. And like, I don't even know what it means for Nebraska going forward, you guys. Like, I don't know.
So here's my takeaway. What does this mean for Nebraska going forward? Fred keeps saying it. Jacob and I keep hearing it in press conferences. And Fred keeps saying they're going to start making shots.
Yeah, not tonight.
Well, I freaking hope so.
They won by 11 and still didn't tonight. I mean,
it can't get much worse than it is. But the takeaway going forward is that this is kind of what the team is. They're going to grind on offense, get to the free throw line, and play tough as hell defense. And that's just the way they're going to have to win games. It feels very Big Ten West, like old Big Ten West football. But that's what you've got out of Hoiberg. That's the way he's transitioned this kind of the culture for the team to be. And now you've got a lot of big-bodied guys that they can go do that to some teams. And it really looked like a Big Ten against Big East team, and Nebraska was able to bully them. And I hope that that's what Nebraska is able to do going forward, bully some teams, and also maybe increase the field goal percentage a little bit, especially from deep. And then you've really got something special.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to like try to pump too much sunshine.
Do it.
But I mean, it's November 22nd. There's still so much time left to go in this season. And this is not, this team's final form, but we've seen glimpses. I mean, we've seen now what they want to do and what they want to be. It's hard to not see the personnel, the actual depth, the legitimate post depth. And while none of the bigs have like jumped off the page statistically, aside from Berke Buchtengel against St. Mary's, and he got into double figures tonight, but I mean, just having the bodies. I mean, when was the last Nebraska basketball team that had this many serviceable guys that they could just throw in at any moment, and it's not like a massive drop off? I mean, and that's big picture. That's not talking about tonight and going forward, but I mean, there'll be a night where they're grinding a team down on defense and they're making threes. I mean, there will be a night where it happens. It's just a matter of when and where. But I mean, this, the crazy thing about this series and this game, and especially it being this early, I think this is historically the earliest this game has been played. I think that's what John Walker told me on my pod, is that, the last 2 times Nebraska won in this series, Fred Hoiberg's job was in doubt in January. And then he, Keisei Tominaga goes on a heater and they almost scrap into the NIT. And the time before that, Tim Miles got fired. Yeah. So the win is obviously massive for the fan base, for your confidence, for your resume, talking like postseason. But at the end of the day, it is still November. But it's a big pelt to have on the wall. Pun very much intended. It's a nice blue feather to have in your cap when you're looking at your team sheet when it gets down to postseason time. And it's and it's something to build on. It's a huge building block to build on, because after that St. Mary's game, I'm sure that was probably the first time a lot of people tuned in to watch Nebraska. It was that Sunday game against St. Mary's. Mm-hmm. And fans probably had an impending feeling of doom, like, oh no, like it's going to be another long season. And I'm not saying that all the questions have been answered, but I mean, the response from Nebraska and the statement and just commitment to what is clearly the identity that this team wants to have. I mean, there's just so much. I mean, there's so much that could be built off of tonight going forward. And while it is still November, it could mean a ton, could mean even more in the long haul.
Yeah, it's only November, but over the 7 days of this week, I guess only 6 days, Sunday to Friday, we saw this team come out with personality and fire and all of those different things in a way against St. Mary's. Yes, it was a loss, but we saw that from this team and we went, okay, here's who they are. And then they carried that over into a win in Omaha. Like this, it's November, but these 6 days are massive into looking at what this team is for the next 2 months.
Absolutely.
I'm a little worried about Creighton's performance for the rest of the year, that it's going to hurt Nebraska's resume. Thoughts?
Don't think about that too much, Jack. Live in the moment, damn it.
I just
live in the moment. I went big picture. I'll put my hand up.
I don't know. They're going to Las Vegas for this thing, Jacob. Like, I don't know. And without Ashworth, holy cow!
Hey, I mean the Big East so far has not exactly jumped off the page. So I'm sure they're gonna find a way to still be top 4, maybe. I'm not saying their season's over. It's definitely. I'm interested to hear how long Ashworth is out before I make any.
They'll have a big CBI run. Don't just say they're fine. They'll be one of the top 20 teams in the CBI. So stop that. But
guys,
I'm not saying that. But
whoever's running, and I sit near all of those guys at home games. The people running the Nebraska men's basketball Twitter account have done a video of directions from the CHI Health Center to Memorial Stadium. I love it.
You guys did see Sam Hoiberg's tweet too.
Oh, yeah.
I did. I regret. I retweeted and I just said, "Is this heaven?" That's all I said.
But before we get out of here, because we're talking about,
by the way, he said, let's see. Sorry for the lost Blue Jay fans, but don't worry, you can still get a win tomorrow. And we're gonna. I mean, like, it's all turning for me right now. That's what I think, right?
And since we're talking about tweets, and especially Jack Mitchell being here, Jack, somebody did tweet at you, and you had a phenomenal quote tweet. So we do need to address that.
You go ahead. What do you want to say?
John Bishop tweets, "Congrats, Jack Mitchell. Your boys played their asses off tonight. Impressive effort."
Jack was trying to get ahead of the game, basically.
Jack Mitchell responded, "Was weird how bad your team was."
Damn.
Came in cold.
Dude, that's how I feel about this game. I feel like my team was okay.
Yes.
Had some good defensive moments, but I don't know. I feel a little discouraged by this game, about Nebraska's season. It's just now It's not what I would have hoped.
Hey, I want
to be at
this is a game. This is a game you need to win by 40, 50. It's hard. It was tough to watch. It was tough to watch for Nebraska. So.
I know we're supposed to focus on the Discord, and I don't. This hasn't been acknowledged yet. I did want to say what's up to Connor Happer, who's in the YouTube chat. He says he says, "Hey guys, love the show," and then just says pain. So what's up, Hap? I hope you're still tuned in, and good to see you tonight.
Hey,
that baby blue half zip looked okay on you, pal.
Speaking of people that we'll see at Memorial Stadium tomorrow.
I am sorry about the pain that you felt tonight.
The cup.
That's mainly my fault because of my superior coaching. Is Greg McDermott on the hot seat? Do you guys think? What your thoughts? Top 5 coaches to replace Greg McDermott.
Hey, did you guys address them not wearing blue tonight after calling for a blue out? Was that addressed at all?
Oh my God! How dumb was their uniform selection?
As someone who's bitched about the surrender whites for years and had people like, now you know what happens.
You know where all of the complaining about the surrender whites comes from. It comes from the affluent Omaha team fans. And what did they do? They rolled out the surrender whites on a Friday. Sad.
Do you think UNO will be interested in McDermott?
If this was the coaching carousel on College Football 25, it would have that little green arrow up. It would say, this is a better job. You should probably take it.
Man, that was rough. Maybe next year in Lincoln it'll be their year. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh well, I can tell by Jack. I can tell we are on the tail end of the high that you were on earlier during the watch party.
No, I feel like I'm just ramping up. I mean,
where are we going? What's the route tonight? What stoplights are we hanging from? What's the bar pattern? Where are we at tonight?
I mean, tonight, I probably won't go hit downtown. You know, it's not.
You're
like
close enough to get to Brewski's. Stumble on over
it's
there.
It's not like we won a bowling national championship or anything like that. So calm down a little bit. But how would you rank? Let me ask you guys this: how would you rank Kalkbrenner's top 1 field goal attempts for the game? How would you rank them?
Oh, well, I mean, the right, the 3 from the right side. I mean, that was a little eye-opening. They definitely
that was my number 1.
Let off him and
I had that one also. Yeah.
No, I'm glad we're all in agreement. I'm glad we're all in agreement there.
Right,
great minds think alike sometimes, but I don't.
It's tough. That's probably good. It's hard. That's probably my number 1. But tough. So, congrats. It wasn't a make. You're not gonna make them all. Obviously, let's not get. He's not Wilt Chamberlain here, but that was a great. It was a great shot. It was a good shot, and I think Nebraska fans should just sportsman-like type situation, like good shot. It was a good shot. With that
I applaud the bravery in taking such
100%. 100%. Yeah, you're right.
If there is a word to describe Kalkbrenner's effort tonight, it was brave.
Yeah, no, and that's I like breaking down. I'm glad you said that, Kaleb, because it's like breaking down some of these like walls and like sort of it gets dirty and hatey between these two, and like that. Kalkbrenner field goal attempt tonight, I thought it was gutsy. I'll say it. I thought it was gutsy.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know. He hits that one. Maybe he's got a chance to make a second basket.
I don't know. I don't know
where it goes from there.
I don't want to get out of control with this, but there's a chance that he makes 2, maybe 3. But
hey, let's not go for a career night here. Like, let's reel that in a little bit.
Right. Exactly. What a night. And, by the way, 4 for 8 from the free throw line. It's nothing That's nothing to turn your nose about up about. 4 for 8.
No,
wow.
There's definitely something that NBA scouts liked what they saw from the effort, the bravery, how courageous he was to be out there. There was probably something to do with lupus, but hey, he fought through it. He's a fighter, and they're going to look highly upon that when they get into the late second round of the NBA draft.
Yeah. Great night for him.
Mm-hmm.
Great night for him. I don't know if they'll give him. I don't know if they give the Wooden Award out in November, but they'll probably obviously think about it.
It felt like it was given out after 49 points against UT Alphabet. I thought he was a shoe-in for National Player of the Year. I'm interested to see how this impacts his campaign for National Player of the Year going forward, because awards are given out in November.
And it's cool because if you average that game where 49 points and this game, that would be 27 points per game. That's pretty good.
Yeah, don't let anyone ever tell you lawyers can't do math. Hell of a job,
good.
Jack Mitchell.
Pretty good.
There we go.
No, I don't know. Do you see any calculator? This is a marker. That's not a calculator.
The champagne of beers.
I might never do this again. In any sport, I might never do it. So I'm going to get every freaking. I'm going to bring. And by the way, please tune in to Unsportsmanlike Conduct, because I have a regular spot and they have to do it. They're required to do it and have me on Monday at about 2:45.
I was really waiting for you to hit the I'm a man of faith. I might not ever put this headset on again.
No, I will put it on. And if you think tonight's been a ride, I have something coming for you Monday. Monday.
Talk dirty to me,
so
Jack.
I am glad. Listen, if it boosts their ratings, I'm not there.
They could use the help.
I'm not on their staff.
They could
use the help. They could.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. We'll see. So I hope you guys will join us. There you go.
All right, Jack. What's I-80 Club got for tomorrow?
Oh, good Lord. We start tomorrow morning. What is that? Like
11 hours.
11 hours from right now. At 9:30 with the Saturday morning coffee show, getting ready for Wisconsin, and then we'll do a post-game show with the After Dark show. I don't remember. Do we start? Josh isn't here. We start either at 8 or 9 tomorrow. I can't remember after the show or after the game, but we'll be there. So it's been fun. What a night. 144 people watching right now. We had after the last game, we had St. Mary's, we had 13 people watching. So it's been fantastic. Thank you for I didn't expect to drink as many Miller. Do I still have any cans? Nope, I don't. Champagne of beers tonight because I don't.
You lost the cans. You lost the Nebrasketball sticker.
No! Stuff everywhere, everywhere. But nonetheless, we'll be on here tomorrow morning at 9:30. So, all right, thank you, Bigelow. Appreciate it.
Of course, back to back. I'm 2 for 2. Boots on the ground journalism going
Let's
out
go,
without
baby.
a hitch. So,
I don't know when our next show is even.
That's a good question.
We're not going to do. By the way, we're not going to do one for the South Dakota. They have a Thanksgiving Eve game at 5:30. Guys, it's North Florida.
Ooh,
North Florida.
That game is more interesting.
Florida.
Obviously, a much better test than Creighton. We'll see. That's December 1st. So I think we'll do a post-game show for that game, right? I think that's the plan. So
may as well. Yeah, that's a 3 in the afternoon game, so probably on around 5:30.
Yes. All right, cool. All right, we'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.